you gorgeous individuals, it's Cav here, and today I'm going to be sharing the story of how reading saved my life, but specifically how the Shadowhunter Chronicles saved my life. So today, April 3rd, is my 2-year Booktube anniversary, and first of all, I just want to thank all of you who have been here for those 2 years for your constant support, because it means the absolute world to me. Because it is my 2-year Booktube anniversary, I wanted to make a video that was a little bit different than what I usually make. So I decided that I wanted to take this year to celebrate how the Shadowhunter Chronicles has saved my life and share that story with you all. Last year for my 1-year Booktube anniversary, I shared 25 bookish facts about me, so you can go ahead and check out that video if you're interested. But this one is definitely going to be a little bit more serious and sappy than that one. I am going to be talking about some of my own life experiences, so some of those may be triggering, so please check the description before watching this video because I will list any possible triggers there. Essentially, as I said, this video was just discussing how the Shadowhunter Chronicles saved my life. So without further ado, let's get started. Mentioned a lot on my channel and on my social media and in life in general that Cassandra Clare's books saved my life, but I've never really talked about how, and that's why I wanted to make an entire video detailing that and dedicated to that. But I think that to really start this story, I have to kind of set the scene a little bit to explain to you all where I was at when I discovered her books. So when I discovered the Shadowhunter Chronicles, I discovered the Mortal Instruments first. I found out about them in 2013 when the movie came out because of trailers I kept seeing from the movie. So I remember that the movie came out in, I think, August of 2013, so that was during the summer from my 6th to 7th grade. Now, in middle school, I was dealing very heavily with depression. Anxiety has been something that I have dealt with my entire life, but it wasn't something I knew about until I was diagnosed. But depression was something I knew I had because it came at a later point in my life, so I realized that there was something wrong with me in a sense. I realized that something wasn't right, but not exactly at that time. Like, I didn't know about it when I was 11. But over the course of middle school and high school, I figured out that I needed to get help. And in middle school, I also had a very tough time socially. Part of that is due to the fact that I have social anxiety disorder. Part of that is due to the fact that I was bullied. So there were a lot of things that related to that, and that was something that weighed a lot on me, and that was kind of part of the reason that I was dealing with depression in the first place. It was one of the many different causes of it, to be fair, but it was one of the primary factors that contributed to my depression in the first place. So a huge issue for me was not really having many friends. So reading kind of became what I fell back on. It kind of became my own friend group. One of the reasons I love the Mortal Instruments so much is because of the cast of characters, and I think that especially in 7th grade, those characters really felt at points like some of the only friends I had, and that's really sappy and kind of sad in a way, but that is a very true part of my experience with those stories, and I think that's a lot of my personal collection to the Mortal Instruments specifically. It really is the characters, whereas for things like the Infernal Devices and the Dark Artifices, it's a lot bigger than that, and the Infernal Devices is my favorite trilogy. I read that in December of 2013 during my winter break. I have very vivid memories of all of the first times I read all of Cassandra Clare's work, because those books are going to stay with me forever because they are my favorite books in the entire world, and it literally did save my life, which is what this video is about. So yeah, with the Mortal Instruments, the thing that really connects me to them is the cast of characters. And part of the thing is that I didn't have friends, and I was really in this depressed phase, so I wasn't even close to my family or anything, and the few friends I did have, like, I knew my best friend back in middle school, but even then I wasn't putting much effort into those relationships because I wasn't able to take care of myself. I couldn't take care of other relationships I was in at that point either, so I shut myself off a lot. I would kind of just be in my room watching YouTube videos, listening to sad emo music, which is genuinely a lot of what I remember from middle school, and I can laugh about that now, but while I was dealing with it, it was a very serious thing. And even though it seems much smaller now, those little things, like, it's kind of like, oh, I was listening to like 3 Days Grace and stuff, and then I kind of laugh about that, but when I was going through it, it wasn't little, it was big, and that's okay. That's okay for things that seem little to other people to be big to you because they're not in your situation. And I think I also tried to minimize my experiences a lot of the time. I wouldn't say that what I was going through was bullying. I wouldn't say that what I was going through was really depression because I knew other people had it worse, but other people having it worse doesn't negate your experiences. And that was something that took a long time for me to realize, especially when I was dealing with the brunt of all of this. So as I was saying, I would spend a lot of time closed off from any people or anything, and I was a reader before this point. Reading is something that most of my family does, especially in my immediate family. My mom and sister are both big readers, and my dad is a reader in his own sense. He more prefers sci-fi and such, and we fall less in that category, but we are all readers to some extent. Harry Potter is a huge family thing for us actually, but I was never a reader to the extent I am now. And whereas I had books I really liked, like I read The Giver and the companion books in 6th grade, and those were books I really liked, it wasn't the same. In the summer of 6th to 7th grade, obviously because it was summer, I was even more alone because I didn't even have the day-to-day interactions that you get in school. So it was even worse at that point because I felt even lonelier. And for a lot of that point, I would be like watching YouTube and I would be doing things like that. So before a lot of the YouTube videos I watched, I would see trailers for the City of Bones movie. Basically, I would see Lily Collins screaming at some weird demon. And one day, I just kind of recognized the City of Bones title. It seemed familiar to me. Then I realized I had seen the City of Bones book on my mom's headstand table. My sister had read the first 1 or 2 books of The Mortal Instruments, so she had those 2 books. My mom had borrowed City of Bones to read it for herself. So I still remember I had some weird misconceptions about what was going to be in that. I thought it was going to be some horror book or something because it was called City of Bones. So I wasn't really sure what else to expect, and what I had seen in the trailer was essentially Lily Collins screaming. So I wasn't really sure what to expect, but for some reason something compelled me to pick it up. It was probably the amount of trailers I had seen for that movie, and I don't say this to be dramatic in the slightest. I genuinely mean that my world absolutely changed. It was like there was finally something in my life that could make me smile and make me laugh, and that was a feeling I hadn't genuinely felt in so long. Like, yes, I smiled, I laughed, but not in a genuine sense, more in like a, yeah, I should be smiling and laughing at this, or I need to keep up the guise of being okay, but not in a genuine sense, nothing that genuinely made me feel emotions like joy and such. And this book did that for me, and it really did change my life. So I ended up seeing the City of Bones movie with my sister and her friend, and I remember, I think it was that summer that we went to Costa Rica. While we were in Costa Rica, my mom and my sister and I were all reading The Mortal Instruments, but we were all at different places. So one of us would be with City of Bones, then another of us would be with City of Ashes, then another of us would be with City of Glass, and we would be trying to read it fast enough so that when the next person gets to it, we can give them that book. And it's just such a distinct memory. There was a restaurant in Costa Rica called Raphael's, and Raphael was the first character of City of Bones that I really liked actually, and I know that's weird because he is not a main character, but he is still one of my favorite Cassandra Clare characters, even though they're all my favorite. So that was a connection I made, and my mom and sister would make fun of me because they knew that I liked Raphael in the books, and they knew that I kept wanting to go back to the restaurant because it had the same name as Raphael in the books. That was, again, another significant memory for me. Like with these books, especially my first experiences reading them, I have so many distinct memories that were some of the few really joyful times I had in middle school, because middle school was not fun, and I know it's not really fun for anyone, but it's extra hard when you're getting bullied and you're dealing with depression and such. So fast forward to the first semester of 7th grade. These books might seem like a cute memory right now, but they might not seem like, wow, they saved their life. Like, they might not seem that way, but fast forward to first semester of 7th grade, that was the first time I ever experienced suicidal thoughts. And that's something that still breaks my heart, that I ever wanted to kill myself when I was 12. Like, I was a baby, but fact of the matter is I was experiencing them. And of course I have my family, and I had my best friend, and I had interests, and I don't want to diminish any of what those mean to me. My family is a huge part of my life, as is my best friend, and now my friend group and the other people in my life. So I don't want to diminish what any of those meant to me, but in all honesty, they weren't keeping me going for the best reason. It was more like I should stay alive so I don't disappoint them or so I don't hurt them. But it wasn't out of any sort of joy or anything, and obviously that is not the case now, and I want to make it very clear that that's not the case now. I was depressed at that time, and so I was in a mindset that was not healthy, obviously, and especially being in an environment as toxic as my school was, it was extra unhealthy for me. But fact of the matter is, they may have kept me going, but it may not have been for the best reason. But Cassandra Clare's books were my only source of any type of joy, especially when I read The Infernal Devices in that winter break. I just remember that for like the first time in months, I was genuinely experiencing emotions that I really wasn't feeling in any other situation, and everything else was basically me faking it. But with those books, it was a genuine sense of happiness when I was reading them, and that is not something that I was able to feel at all. And that was when I got catapulted into everything that has made my life what it is now, because I discovered Booktube by watching Christine's City of Bones movie discussion, and that is how I discovered Booktube, which is one of the biggest aspects of my life now and is one of my primary sources of happiness most of the time. So that's another huge thing, because even now when I get discouraged and such, because those things happen and you never are fully free of your mental illnesses no matter how much you try to be, so they do try to creep back in at times. It's things like Booktube and reading Cassie's work or reading books in general that help me, but none of that would have really happened had I not picked up City of Bones that day in like July or August back in 2013, because I never would have discovered the Booktube community, and I never would have discovered my love for reading, because it never would have been sparked. I probably would still be reading, but not the way I am now. My bookshelf would not be this huge thing that is like half filled with a lot of books. That would not be the case at all. So it really does go back to the fact that for some reason 11-year-old me decided to pick up that book on my mom's headstand, and even if my experiences with those books don't seem as big as they feel to me, first of all, that's not true, because it's very hard for me to verbalize how I felt emotionally. I can tell you the experiences surrounding my reading those books, and that can give you some insight as to how those books would have helped me, because obviously I was in a toxic environment, I was in a toxic mindset, so having only one source of joy was huge. But I still can't really verbalize what the emotions actually were when I was reading that, and the emotions I have now, better understanding what those books really mean to me. So I can't genuinely verbalize that, but even if that doesn't seem as big as it is, the fact of the matter is books would not be a part of my life. My life would not be the same without them. So not only did they save my life, they've essentially shaped my life to be what it is now, because Booktube is what I do. Of course there are other aspects of my life, but it's my primary thing. It's what I do. Reading is my hobby. It's my primary hobby. Of course I have other hobbies and other things I do, but it's one of my favorite hobbies, if not my favorite. So without that, I probably wouldn't even be a writer were I not to have read those books, because yes, I've been writing for a long time, but I wouldn't be pursuing it the way I am now, especially not without the book community and not without Booktube. So I wouldn't be looking to get my first book published eventually, hopefully. Cassandra Clare is my writing inspiration, even though I don't really write fantasy because that's too hard for me. She is my writing inspiration, and she's really my reading inspiration, because she wrote the books that changed my life, and none of that would be what it is today without those books and without her. That's really scary to think about, how had I not picked up that book that one day of my life, everything would be different. It's just wild to think about how one thing that seems so small changed my life and shaped it to be what it is now, and I really wouldn't have it any other way, because those books are my world, and I am proud to say that they are. I am proud to be a giant fan of them, and I am proud to be an even more giant fan of Cassandra Clare, because she is a wonderful woman. I'm proud that it was her books that saved me, because the woman behind the work is incredible. So yeah, that's the story of how the Shadowhunter Chronicles saved my life. And as I said, I don't think I can ever really verbalize what those books and what Cassandra Clare mean to me. It's never going to be possible, because it's still hard for me to grasp what they have done for me, how much they have done for me. So I don't know that I'll ever actually be able to verbalize them on this channel or even in person, but the fact of the matter is those books are my world, and they probably will be forever. And I'm just glad that the world is so big and that I get to be a part of the shadow world, because it is a great place to be, and I'm thankful beyond words to Cassandra Clare because her work is my life and it's my inspiration, and that's huge. Yeah, the fact of the matter is, without those books, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be sitting on my bed talking to you all without those books, and again, that's wild to think about. But it's the truth, and it's a happy truth. No matter how bad my middle school experience was, and it was horrible, I'm glad that I got those out of it. I'm glad that I got the Shadowhunter Chronicles out of it because they mean the world to me, and I'm very glad that they do. Anyway, that was all for this video, but I do want to take a moment, like I did in the beginning, to thank you all who have been supporting me for the past 2 years, because it is honestly wild to think that I have been on Booktube for 2 years now, and it does get discouraging at times. I'm not gonna lie to you, it does get discouraging, and it is a hard place to grow in because the Booktube community is so tight-knit. It is a hard place to grow in sometimes because it is a tight-knit community in the best way possible. Everyone is so friendly and I love that, but that can make it hard to grow. But regardless of the times I get discouraged, I always come back. I'm always still here, and that's because of people like you all who continuously support me and watch the content I make and are willing to fan person over Cassandra Clare with me. So the fact of the matter is, you guys are as important to me as the Shadowhunter Chronicles to an extent. I don't know if anything's really as important to me as the Shadowhunter Chronicles, but you guys are very, very important to me, and you're up there with the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So thank you for your support in the past 2 years. I'm really excited to see where this next year of Booktube takes me. I'm getting to go to Y'all West and BookCon this year, so I'm super excited for those experiences, and I've been able to get so many more opportunities like those, and it wouldn't be possible without Booktube, and my Booktube channel wouldn't be possible without you all. So thank you for helping me create this channel, because this is a group effort, whereas I'm the one sitting behind the camera making the videos, editing the videos. It's you guys who are watching them, and that is just as big a deal to me. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I also don't know if I'll ever be able to verbalize how much it means to me that there are 700 people watching my videos. Like the Shadowhunter Chronicles, it means the world to me. So thank you so much for the past 2 years. I'm excited for the 3rd year. If you are new here, please subscribe so that you can join us on the next year together. And if you did like this video, please give it a like and comment down below. Tell me if there are any books in your life that mean this much to you, the way that Cassandra Clare's books have meant so much to me, because I would love to hear your guys' personal stories and the books that have shaped you to be who you are today. And all of my other social media will be in the description below, as well as my Goodreads, where I review every single book I read, so definitely check that out. And that is all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, thank you for supporting me, and I hope you have a lovely day or night wherever you are. Please remember that you are beautiful and you deserve the world, and I will see you soon for a brand new video. Goodbye!